Okay. So on our graphing calculators, before we start what we're about to do, making scatter plots, there's just one thing that we have to turn on, and you don't have to do this every single time. It's just this one time. So if you don't have your graphing calculator today, you will have to do this eventually. But we're just going to do it one time. You don't even have to write this down if you have your calculator. If you're borrowing somebody else's, write it down because you don't have to do it when you have your own. But otherwise, nobody else has to write this down. What you're going to do is we're going to go second right here. And then you're going to go all the way down to the 0 button, which says catalog. And it should bring up a screen that looks like that. Okay, screen looks like that. And then in order to, by the way, the catalog has every button that the calculator does in alphabetical order. So sometimes you're like, well, where's that absolute value button? It's in the catalog in alphabetical order, so you could find it there if you can't find it somewhere else. But we're going to do something called diagnostic on. Diagnostic on starts with a D, but to jump to D's, you don't have to scroll down. To jump to D's, you'll see there's like letters above your keys. If you just hit the D button, it will jump down to the D's. And then you can scroll down using your arrows until you find diagnostic on. And once you've found diagnostic on, hit enter, enter, and it should say done. You don't have to do this every time, you just have to do it this once. Okay? So does everybody say done? Before we go any further, I can't see all of your individual calculators from where I'm standing. So if yours does not look like what I'm saying or what you're seeing, you gotta stop me immediately. We have all this time in class, so I have time to come and help each person individually if I need to. But if you wait 10 minutes and then say, hey, my calculator never did that thing 10 minutes ago, then there's a lot of time I'm gonna have to waste, where I could have just stopped for like 30 seconds. Okay, so yours is not doing it. I don't expect anybody right now to be an expert on what we're doing. You haven't done this before. So stop me if it doesn't look okay. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to enter in all of that data that we took of everybody's inches compared to their shoe size. We're going to enter in that data. To enter in the data, we're going to be using, you guys know when we do data, we're using statistics. So this is going to make sense. We're going to push the stat button. So you find the stat button right here. The stat button, go ahead and press stat. So now would be the time where you would start wanting to maybe write this down. So what I'll put it back on this history. What I'm doing, let me just close the calculator and actually it probably will restart the diagnostic if I close it. So far all I've done is hit stat, and you might want to tell yourself what we're doing. Right now we're entering in data. Entering in data, first step is stat. Then usually when I write stuff down, I would write like stat in a box so I know that is a button that I'm pushing. And when you look up here on the calculator, it says stat and it looks like it's a button that got pressed. So we stat, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to edit. So you can just hit enter or you can hit the number 1 and it should pull up some lists. So hit enter or 1 to get to these lists. Now some of you have stuff in there, which is not your calculator, is it? Okay. Gave it away. Anyway, some of you have stuff in there, some of you don't. I will show everybody how to.
That's what I know. I hit stat.
I don't think you hit that. Okay, you did stat box, not stat. So we'll actually. Stat. There you are. I'm sorry, I'm going to show everybody how to clear what's in there, but you might not have anything typed in. But if you did, I'm going to show you how to clear it because later we are going to have to clear it. So the next thing you'd want to write on your paper might be to clear the list. To clear the list. what we're going to do, does everybody have L1 first? Does everybody not have L1? Because I can fix that if you don't. Everybody has L1 first. So to clear that, you're going to use your arrow, and you're going to go all the way up, and so that it's highlighted the L1. And to clear that list, we hit clear, and then enter. So L1 should still be there, and nothing's entered in L1. But a lot of you didn't have anything entered anyway. And then you're going to do the same thing for L2. So you just arrow over, go up to the top, hit clear, and then hit enter. So nothing should be typed in. Everybody has an L1 and an L2, correct? Okay. Now the L1 is like your X's. It would be the input value. So with our list, the L1 is the height. And when you go to enter things in, if you just go all the way down the list, I know it's 63 first, and then you hit enter. What's the next one? 64? What's the next one on the list? I don't, where's my list? Here it is. 65. It's 65 and then 64. Okay, so then I would hit, 65, enter, 64, enter. So go ahead and enter in all your X's, and then the second column is all the Y's, or all the shoe sizes. Go ahead and enter all those in.
I should probably do it too. I don't have a list though.
So once you're done entering it, it should say something like 19 at the bottom. There's actually 18 things we entered, and like the bottom one's blank. It's the 19th one. If you have more in one column than the other, then you missed something somewhere or did something extra. Let's make sure that the bottom says 19 and that there isn't more in one column than the other. Then if you're having any trouble, remember you stop me right away. Where are you sharing that? You need to like at least see the screen with somebody and make sure you write that stuff down since you won't have your things ready. All right, I'm ready to go on. Just go ahead. So that's entering in the data. Once you have all that typed in, once you've entered in the data, then we're going to start applying it. Make a scatter plot. So the next title, what you're going to write down like directions-wise, is to graph the scatter plot. That's our next step that I'm going to show you how to do. It's graphing the scatter plot. You know what a scatter plot looks like? Do you know what a scatter plot looks like? So before we start, scatter plot. Hopefully you've seen them before. These scatter plots that we're going to do are just all positive numbers, because let me guess, nobody's negative inches tall, right? Negative shoe size, anybody? No? No? Okay. So positive numbers. When we graph a scatter plot, we're going to graph the points, and it might look something like that. And there's other situations where we graph points, and it might look like that. There's another situation where we graph points, and this would be a fun one to do. And it looks like that. Okay? When you look at these three situations, with the purple one, does it look like there is a pattern? So when you talk about there being a pattern, we're talking about correlation. When we talk about there being a pattern, there's correlation. So as our inches, like our height, is getting taller, our shoe sizes are probably getting bigger. As the X's are getting bigger, the Y's are also getting bigger. This picture is going to be like a positive correlation. Here, there might be a situation where we have, as X's get bigger, the Y's are actually getting smaller. Maybe if we are recording daily temperatures starting in August through December, if we're recording daily temperatures, so here's days, here's temp, the daily average temperature, what should happen as days go on from August to September? What should happen to, or August to December? What should happen to the temperatures? They should go down, right? Now, they might not go down by the same amount, but they're going to kind of go down as we go. And then so this would be a negative correlation. Negative correlation. And then there's this situation here. And this one might be a graph of your birthday month. Compared to your shoe size. Do you think that what month you are born is going to determine what size of shoe you wear? Probably not. If the dots are scattered everywhere and there's no clear pattern, that would be no correlation. Or you might say weak correlation. No correlation or weak correlation. So in your homework, you are going to talk about correlation. So your choices are positive correlation, negative correlation, or weak or no correlation. All right, we ready to graph this sucker? See what it looks like? Okay. So what we're going to do to graph it is we're going to go to stat plot. Any graphing buttons are at the very top. Do you see stat plot? You see how it's above it? So we're going to have to do what to get there? Second. So we're going to do second, and then we're going to do y equals, which is the stat plot. And then let's all choose the very first stat plot. So number 1, let's all choose that. So we've got second y equals, I'm just hitting enter. And the first thing you have to do is make sure that it's turned on. So you see how it says on, but mine's actually highlighted off. So I'm going to hit enter so it turns on, and then you arrow down. And it has to be the first choice that is highlighted. It's got to be the one that looks like a bunch of dots. And then the X list has to say L1. And yesterday I had somebody type in L1 and it totally screwed it up. There is an L1 button if yours doesn't say L1. Does anybody not say L1? Everybody says L1. And then the next one down has to say L2. You can choose whatever mark you want. I use the big one because it's easier to see. And then if you have the newer calculators, you can choose the color too. Now once you have that, hit graph. Once you have all that ready to go, hit graph. And yours probably looks like mine. Where are those dots? Well, they are somewhere. Where are they? Where do you know? Oh, you have an error. You have an error.
Are we supposed to press the one that actually says graph on it?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I think when you typed it in, something
You're like way more in here than the other one. What happened? Okay. So, retype that first column. Yeah. That's what happened there. And when you catch up, just let me know and I can make sure you're all the way caught up. Yep. Good. Yours looks different. Okay. Did you let somebody else borrow it?
No.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Question?
I have it saved. There's nothing else to use, but I went to step one.
Oh, I know what it is. Somebody else might have this problem too. If you go to y equals, I'll just show you this real fast. You can check this with me too. If you go to y equals, there can't be anything else in here. So if you're having issues, like you were having issues, there's something else extra in there. There's something else that we need to check. Can everybody go to y equals? Everybody go to y equals? You should only have, right now, we all just turned on the first plot. You should only have the first plot turned on. If you have anything else turned on, you have to turn it off. And to turn it off, you just use your arrow and go up and hit enter to turn it off. So make sure everybody's graphs look the same there. All right, and then once you're there, go back to graph, and then we'll fix why we don't see the dot. What's an example of one of those ordered pairs? You should know the ordered pairs because you wrote at least one of them up there. What's one of these? 63, 7.5. So 63 on the x. Are we looking at 63 on the x right now? We are not. We're looking at like 10 and negative 10. So the problem is our window is not set up right. So to set up our window correctly so we can see the points, you go to window. So to fix your window, this would be a good thing to write down. To fix your window, you go to window. And then let's think about this. Do we need negative numbers? So we read the x minimum. The x minimum, the smallest x can be 0. And then our x maximum, what's the tallest number? What's the highest number? Was it 74? So maybe 75? Make it 75? And then the x scale is what do you want those little tick marks to go up by? Ones, there's too many. There's 75 ones. So what should we go up by instead?
No.
What should we go up by instead? What do you guys think? Yell something out. 5. Whoever said, who said that? Yeah, so let's change our scale to go up by 5. So that means the little tick marks on the x-axis are you guys. If you have the color one, you have other stuff under here, and it doesn't matter about that. Just the stuff that matters is the stuff I'm talking about. So the y minimum, what's the smallest shoe size we should put on there? 0. Yeah, let's put 0. I like a nice 0, like first quadrant graph. And then the maximum shoe size, was that like a 15? Is that? So let's make it 20, make it a little bit bigger. And then the scale, I think we can count by ones for that, 0 to 20 is fine. Once you have that, now hit graph and see if stuff shows up. Graph, hit the graph button. No? Okay, who else is having trouble? Does it bother anybody that's like all squished over in one side? Let's make our X longer. What would it go up to 75? Is that what it was? Let's make it go to 100. I think that would make it a little bit nicer. Let's go back to our window. Maybe it doesn't bother you. You don't have to change it, but let's make our X max go to 100 instead. Go to our window, change our X max to 100. Does that look cool? Still looks pretty crazy, but at least it's not squished all the way around one side. You really can change it to be whatever window you want. Okay, so we have a scatter plot. Now, when you look at the scatter plot, do you think that this has positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation? As you're going from left to right, what's the graph doing? It's going up. Do you think it's positive correlation, or are they just everywhere? I think it's probably positive correlation. Well, there's a way to find out how well it correlates to line. There's a way, and I'm going to show you that for next. There's also the line of best fit. So that is in our notes. Is it recording?
Yeah, it was recording the whole time.
No, it was a pause, but it.
I think it was recording.
Nah. If somebody's watching these notes, hopefully they fast forward that part.
Every once in a while.
I assume it's recording. I hope it's recording.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to find the equation of the line of best fit. So the line of best fit is the average of all those points, the line that would kind of be through the middle, the line that would be used to predict, you know, if somebody was 100 inches tall, what size of shoe would they wear? I don't know, we can predict that. We'll see how accurate you are. We will go and predict that. So this is how you're going to find the line of best fit. So if you're writing down notes, we are finding the line of best fit. And there's another word that it's going to say in the directions. It's going to say the regression feature. This is what we're doing is a linear regression. And that means we're finding the line of best fit. And then in chapter 2, after we do quadratics, then we'll learn quadratic regression. Like there's other regressions besides linear. So we're going to find the line of best fit on your calculator. We are doing statistics, so we're going to go back to the stat button. And this time, when you go under stat, we are going to calculate this line of best fit. So at the very top, you're going to go over with your arrow to calc. And when you pull that menu up, you will see there's lots of REGs, regression features. We're going to use number 4, linear regression, AX plus B, because we're going to find MX plus B. They just use an A instead of an M. So we're going to be using 4. Depending on your calculator, it's going to look a little different when you hit 4. Some of you might have a list of things, and all you have to do is like enter, 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 enter. I just have to hit enter because I don't have that big list. But some of you just have to hit enter, 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 each time. Enter, 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 until it calculates what it looks like up there. Okay? Maybe I might have typed something in wrong, but let's see. I'm thinking I typed something in wrong because all three people in the front have the same numbers and I don't. It might be me. Let's check my list out real fast. Just got a list I can read. Let me check my list real fast. 63, 65, 64, 64, 69, 4, 2.
It is on. I wish it was.
It is definitely easy to accidentally type something in wrong, so this could happen to you too. Oh, no, that's not. Okay, my X column is fine. And then 75, 79. Okay, I found my mistake. I have a 95 instead of a 9.5. A little bit different. Okay, so now let me try this again. All right, is that the numbers? You guys are good?
Yeah.
All right, somebody else not get that those same numbers? You saw what I had to do. If I typed something in wrong, if you don't have the same numbers, probably you typed something in wrong too. Like your numbers should look like something's wrong. Maybe something's wrong on that list. Can you borrow your list?
Yeah.
You've done this wrong place. Go back to your stat, edit, check your list. Okay, guys, what we have is we have two pieces of information from the screen that you would need to write down. So while we're doing this, we'll just practice writing it down. The first thing is the line of best fit. And the line of best fit, y equals ax plus b, they tell you what a is and what b is. And I'm going to ask you to use 3 decimals. I'm going to round correctly to 3 decimals. So we look at the a value, 0.472. You have to look at the number after the 2. You have to look at the 4th one to round the 3rd one. So what will I do to that 2 if there's a 0 out? Just leave it. And then for the b, negative 21.412, and then there's a 5 after it. What would the 5 tell me to do? Bump it up to a negative 21.413. So we will write that down. I might have you help me because I can't see both at the same time. So our line of best fit would be y equals 0. What was it? 292? What was it? What was it? Oh, 472? That's what you said. I couldn't remember. 472, and then we put x. And then it was plus a negative number, so we write minus, and then what's that number? 21.413. So that is the line of best fit. That's what you're going to be writing down in your homework. And then they're going to ask you about the correlation coefficient. They're going to ask you about the correlation coefficient. And the correlation coefficient is the R. The R by itself, not the R squared, it's the R. So I'm going to look at my calculator, and my R is 0.77 rounded to 4, 0.774. My R is about 0.774. And then we're going to interpret that. We're going to interpret it. So that means if, oops. We're going to interpret it if it's positive or if it's negative. If it's close to 1, close to -1, or if it's weak or no correlation, it's going to be close to 0. So your options are being close to 1, being close to -1, or close to 0. And when we look at 0.774, what is that close to? It's close to 1. So we would say that has a positive correlation. Would you say it's a really strong positive correlation, or is it not really a strong correlation? I'd say maybe medium. I mean, 0.5 would be right in the middle. So when we're using this data to predict, because it's not super strong, it's not 0.99, our predictions aren't going to be very accurate. And that's what that number is used for. It's just to tell you how accurate your prediction is going to be. Okay, so in your homework, you're going to be finding the line of best fit. You're going to write down the correlation coefficient and then say what kind of correlation it has, if it's positive, if it's negative, or if it's weak or no correlation. We'll be saying that. And then you're also going to have to, in your homework, predict. And to do predictions, we're going to need the line of best fit graphed. So I'm going to show you how to graph the line of best fit. Everybody on their calculator, can you make sure this is the last thing that you did on your calculator right now? It's up on your screen. If you've cleared it, then go back and redo it. If you've cleared it, go back and redo it. Okay, so go stat. And then calculate. And we're going to choose linear regression, number 4. And then oh my gosh, it's still not the same. It's closer. Like mine's a 0.77, yours like 0.79 as well. I think you're going to struggle with this one. All right. Well, the good thing is when you're typing stuff in your homework, you're only typing in like 7 ordered pairs, something like small. It's not like 18 ordered pairs. So it's a little bit, and the numbers are all like 5 and 6, or not like 7.5 and 30, 70. Anyway, okay, so everybody has this last, to graph the line. So if you're writing notes, this is going to be to graph the line of best fit, to graph the line. You first have to go to y equals. Make sure there's nothing in there. Make sure y equals is cleared, which mine is. You have to be in y equals. You have to be sitting in that first spot, that y1. Now the next thing, everything that we've done so far has been somewhat like it makes sense. When we were doing statistics, you go to stat. And when we were graphing, you hit graph. Like things make sense. When we changed our window, you hit window. It made sense. This one's going to make no sense. So this one will be very good to write down. To copy the equation, we're going to write the equation in here. You're going to first, you're in y equals, you're going to hit bars. Bars. Okay, I'm pointing to where it is, bars. Gosh, my thing's not even showing what I'm doing right now, is it? I don't know where to scroll it. Bars, and then we're going to choose statistics. So number 5, statistics. Oh, there it is. So bars, then number 5, and then at the top you're going to go over to EQ. And then you're going to choose number 1, regression EQ, or regular EQ. Actually, I don't know what that. I think it's regression EQ, regression equation. And just choose number 1, and it should pop your equation in that y1 spot. If you've done it, hit graph. If you've done it, hit graph. Done it, hit graph. And it should look like the line of best fit of that data. So we're going to use this line to predict.
We're going to make a line.
So, have to be in y equals now those bars. 5 over and here. trouble. Remember, you stopped me before we go further. You're gonna have trouble. Okay, so now we're gonna predict. So to predict, there's a few different ways you could do it. I'm gonna show you different ways, and then you just choose your favorite. There is a table of values on this line. A table. When you get to the table, it's right above the graph button, so you do second graph, and you will have a table of values. And what's our x values? When you wrote your numbers up on the board, what was the first number you wrote? No, I mean, like, what did it represent? It was your height. So when you look at this, the x values are your height. So this tells me if somebody is 1 inch tall, they should have negative 21 shoe size. That doesn't make any sense. Let's predict. Let me think. I don't think anybody in here was 60 inches. I don't think anybody was 60. Am I correct? Nobody's 60? Let's predict for 60 inches. What shoe size? 60 inches. Okay, so do you think it makes sense for me to arrow down 60 times? Stop if you're doing it. There's a faster way. There's a faster way. Are you finding 100? Or are you finding 60? We're going to find 100. Stop arrowing down. Okay. Well, learn the shortcuts. You don't have to do that anymore. What if I needed to know for 5,000? Exactly. Let's not do that. So instead, there's a button that says table set, and it is second window. See the table set? And in the table set, where do you want your table to start? I want it to start at 60. So I'll just type in 60. And then you want the little triangle means change in the table, and we want it going up by 1. So we go back to our table, second graph, and now it starts at 60. What shoe size should somebody who's 60 inches wear according to our data? Well, there's on a 6.9, so a 7. Our choices would be a 6.5 or a 7, but this one's closer to 7. Okay, so for a 100-inch person, that does not exist. What shoe size should they wear? Should I arrow down? Let's do table set, second table set. Let's start at 100, and then go back to your table. What shoe size should they wear? 26. I would say 26, because it's about 25.8. So you either do 25.5 or you do 26, and you probably need that extra room if you're that tall. Now, I have a second way of finding this information. Can you go back to your graph, and I'll show you another way of finding the same information, which I think is even faster than the table. But I wanted to show you the table because the table is helpful to see. So another way that you can find this information is second trace. Second trace, there's a calculate button. Second trace. And then you're going to choose value. You're going to choose value. And it says x equals, well, I want to know for 60. X equals 60, you type in 60, enter, and it tells you the answer right there and then. Okay? So if we wanted to find out for 100, we're going to do second trace, which is calculate. We choose value, and then we type in 100. And then you have trouble. I'm going to show this for everybody. Go back to your, I know why you had trouble, but that's correct. Did you guys get it except for him? Everybody else not get it? Well, because I know why you didn't get it, and I was expecting that. Didn't work? Okay, when we changed our windows to 100, did you change your window to 100?
I changed my window also, so I got it.
That's what happened. Okay. Oh, that's okay. So let's do one more thing. Now there's no person that's like 300 inches tall. There's nobody 300 inches tall, okay? But let's pretend we needed to find 300 for whatever purpose it was. There is, like, it doesn't make sense for this situation, but it's going to make sense when you do your homework. You want to find for 300, and we go second trace, and you type in a value, and you type in 300, and everybody should experience this right now. And this is what happened to you guys before. The reason why this is happening is because in order for the calculator to tell you the answer, the window has to include the value you chose. So we made our window for x's only go up to 100, and when we chose 300, that's past our window. So that happens, we can go back and just change our window. Or we can use the table. Well, we can go change our window. So we'll just quit. And you go to window. If you change your maxes for x's to go to 300, you change your x maxes to go to 300, and then you try it again. You do second, trace, value, 300. It'll now give you an answer. Shoe size, 120. For the future giants that we will have in our world. Okay, so that might happen. You might have to pick a number that's way off of your window, and then you can just change the window, or you can use the table and do your table again. Okay, so now I just went through a lot of information. It's not that much. We only did one problem, but it was a lot of things to learn. So now we're going to practice. In your notes, you have another example, and this data is it's already given to you. It's finding the line of fit. We have a femur length. Do you know where the femur is? Anybody? Femur? That's just the biggest bone in your body. It's this like thigh bone. The femur length is x, and then the height of the person in centimeters is y. So we're going to go do everything we just did. So you're going to put it in the table. You're going to graph it. You're going to graph the line of best fit. You're going to write down the line of best fit. We're going to look at the correlation coefficient. And we're going to predict if somebody has a femur of 35 centimeters, how tall they would be. So I'm going to stop talking for a little bit while you start going through the process and ask me questions where you get stuck. Okay? So Shay, this would be a good time to